morning and shalom from a little coffee and a lot of Yahuah. Today we're going to be talking about Torah, what Torah means to Abba, for us, and what Torah means for us to Abba. When we look at if it is a court case, we will find that there are two sides in the court case, and each presents its side. Torah is a bit like that. Yahuah, who created us, presents us with his case for Torah that we are to keep, and we are to stand on the other side saying, yes, we accept, or yes, or no, we don't. So let us start with Abba's word, and it's important to understand the picture who we are to Abba and who we are to ourselves, because if we esteem ourselves higher than Abba, then we've lost the plot big time. But if we understand that Abba created us, we will serve him and obey his will for us. So we're going to start with Psalm 24, reading from verse 1 to 10. The earth belongs to Yahuah, and all that fills it, the world and those who dwell in it. For he has founded it upon the seas, and upon the waters he does establish it. Who does go up into the mountain of Yahuah, and who does stand in his set-apart place? He who has innocent hands and a clean heart, who did not bring his life to naught, and did not swear deceivingly. He receives a blessing from Yahuah, and righteousness from the Elohim of his deliverance. Here we see that Abba is the creator. We are the created. And we all that he created belong to him. It says here, who goes up to the mountain of Yahuah? Who can stand before Yahuah? Only those who have a clean heart and innocent hands. And that is where Torah comes into place for us. We carry on from verse 6. This is the generation of those who seek him, Jacob, who seek your face. Lift up your heads, O you gates, and be lifted up, you everlasting doors, and let the Sovereign of Esteem come in. Who is the Sovereign of Esteem? Yahuah, strong and mighty. Yahuah, mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O you gates, even lift up, you everlasting doors, and let the Sovereign of Esteem come in. Who is this Sovereign of Esteem? Yahuah of hosts. He is the Sovereign of Esteem. Praise Yah. This just makes the picture really clear that who Abba is and who we are. And we need to understand when we follow and walk in our life that this is what we keep in mind. Abba expects certain things from his chosen. And he says in Exodus 19 verse 5 and 6, and now, if you diligently obey my voice, and shall guard my covenant, then you shall be my treasured possession above all the peoples, for all the earth is mine. Again he says, everything belongs to him. But we will be his treasured possession, those who guard his commands. And verse 6 it says, and you shall be to me a reign of priests and a set-apart nation. Those are the words you are to speak to the children of Israel. Wonderful. So, this covenant or commands that Abba expects us to keep, what are they? Let's have a look at Exodus 20 verse 1 onwards. And Elohim speak all these words, saying, I am Yahuah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of this house of slavery. There he declares who he is. That's the first one. You have no other mighty ones against my face. And then Abba expands on this one quite a bit. The two commands that he really expands on. The second command and the fourth command, where he talks about his Sabbath. And he says about other mighty ones, you do not make for yourself a carved image, or any likeness of that which is in the heavens above, or which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahuah, your Elohim, am a jealous El, visiting the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing kindness to thousands, to those who love me and guard my commands. Then he carries on. You do not bring the name of Yahuah, your Elohim, to naught. For Yahuah does not leave the one unpunished who brings his name to naught. And then, remember the Sabbath day, to keep it set apart. 6 days you labor, and you shall do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to Yahuah your Elohim. You do not do any work. You, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahuah made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore Yahuah blessed the seventh day and set it apart. These first 4 commands is about Abba. And Abba expects us to guard them, and we must walk in them and obey them. And 2 of them he expanded on quite extensively, around 90 to 100 words, depending on the translation. It is the one on, you have no other mighty ones, and remember the Sabbath. 2 reasons for these 2 commandments that he expands on them so big, because he knew man will forget the Sabbath, and they will follow after other mighty ones. And then we carry on, the last 6. You will see Abba does not say so much, except for the last one. He says, respect your father and your mother, so that your days are prolonged upon the soil which Yahuah your Elohim is giving you. Then you do not murder, you do not commit adultery, you do not steal, you do not bear false witness against your neighbor, and then you do not covet your neighbor's house. You do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. These are the 10 commandments. This is Abba's covenant with his people, and we are to obey. The first 4 is our relationship with Abba, and the last 6, our relationship to our neighbor. And then it carries on. And all the people saw thunders, the lightning flashes, the sound of the ram's horn, and the mountain smoking. And the people saw it, and they trembled and stood at a distance. This is a very important verse, because this shows that those people understood there how little and small man is compared to Abba. And then they said to Mosheh, you speak with us, and we hear, but let not Elohim speak with us, lest we die. And then Moshe's respond, perfect. And Mosheh said to the people, do not fear, for Elohim has come to prove you, and in order that his fear be before you, so that you do not sin. That is the reason for fearing Abba, that we do not sin. If we do not sin, we don't have to fear Abba. If we look at Exodus 31 verse 16, Abba gave us a sign for this covenant that he made with his people. And the children of Israel shall guard the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations as an everlasting covenant. Throughout the generations as an everlasting covenant. This covenant does not stop. From then, when it came into play, it is still continuing till Yahusha's return. Between me and the children of Israel, it is a sign forever. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. This sign is like a contract. When you get married, you sign a contract. Or if you buy a house or a car, you sign a contract that you have to stick to the contract. If it is about the bank loaning you money so that you can buy your house, you commit yourself to a payment plan and you have to stick to it. Otherwise they take it away. Therefore, our covenant sign is the Sabbath. We have to keep the Sabbath. It is a sign forever throughout our generations. If you do not keep the Sabbath, you have no covenant with Abba. And His promise and His protection does not cover you. But there's more to be saved than these 10 commandments. In Joel 2 verse 32, Abba says, "And it shall be that everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah shall be delivered." We have to call on His name. Those who bring His name to naught, not using it, bring it to emptiness. Abba says, only those calling on His name will be delivered. So, we need to guard the Sabbath, we need to keep His name, but there is more. He says in James 2 verse 10, "For whoever shall guard all the Torah, and yet stumble in one point, he is guilty of all." How does that work? And it says in verse 11, "For he," just turn the page, "For he who said, 'Do not commit adultery,' also said, 'Do not commit murder.' Now if you do not commit adultery, but you do murder, you have become a transgressor of Torah." Torah is one whole thing, and we have to keep to all of them. It says in Galatians 3 verse 21, "Is the Torah then against the promises of Elohim? Let it not be. For if a law, or Torah, had been given that was able to make alive, truly righteousness would have been by Torah." It is through Torah that we know what is right and what is wrong. And that is through Torah that we understand what is right and wrong. Galatians 3:24, "Therefore the Torah became our trainer, our pathfinder, unto Messiah, in order to be declared right by belief." It is through Torah, through our obedience to Torah, that we are declared right in our belief, because we believe in the Torah. It is our light, it is our pathways, our sadnav, the Torah. And Yahusha says in 1 John 5 verse 3, says, "For this is the love of Elohim, that we guard His commands. And His commands are not heavy," meaning that we will be able to keep them. How? By Yahusha who lives in us. And by guarding His commands, we show our love for Him. I'm going to look at the parable of the 10 virgins, or the 10 maidens. It's because all the parables of Yahusha shows to the kingdom of Yahuwah. And it is to help our people to understand how His kingdom works and how we can enter into His kingdom. So we read from Matthew 25 verse 1. "Then the reign of the heavens shall be compared to 10 maidens, who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom." The first point is really important because it shows that there are 10 maidens who went to meet the bridegroom. And the 10 maidens had lamps with oil in it. This shows that the 10 were believers. Then it says, and 5 of them were wise, and 5 foolish. So there's a difference between these believing maidens. Those who were foolish, having taken their lamps, took no oil with them. Now, this oil you need to see as the Torah of Yahuah. Verse 4. But the wise took oil in their containers with their lamps. So you have 5 taking oil with him, keeping the Torah, and you've got 5 who believe in the Messiah but do not keep all the Torah. Verse 5. Now while the bridegroom took time, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight a cry was heard, See, the bridegroom is coming, go out to meet him. Then all those maidens rose up and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, Give us of your oil, because our lamp is going out. Can you see? Their lamp is going out because they do not have enough oil. Then, verse 9, But the wise answered, saying, No, indeed, there would not be enough for us and you. Instead, go to those who sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding feast, and the door was shut. If you're ready for Yahusha's return, keeping his commandments, you will go in. Verse 11, And later the other maidens also came, saying, Master, Master, open up for us. But he answering said, and these key words, Truly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, because you do not know the day nor the hour in which the Son of Adam is coming. Clear warning. We must be ready. And the only way we can be ready is by keeping Torah. Now I want to go back to the words that I said where it says, Truly I say to you, I do not know you. I'm going to read now from Matthew 7:23. Listen to these words. And then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, who? You who work lawlessness or Torahlessness. Those without Torah. In other words, they're not keeping Torah. But it is sad because there is a great number of false teaching going out in the world, specifically in Christianity, where they are being taught that the Old Testament is for the Jews. It doesn't exist. It's not for us applicable anymore because Yahusha came and he gave us 2 new commands. Let's read what they use as an example to prove their point. From Matthew 22:34. But the Pharisees, having heard that had silenced the Sadducees, were gathered together, and one learned in the Torah, did question, trying him and saying, Teacher, which is the great command in the Torah? And Yahusha said to him, You shall love Yahuah your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your being, and with all your mind. This is the first and great command. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And then they stop. The first and the second command. Love Yahuah your Elohim with all your heart, being, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. But they should really just read the next verse. It says, On these 2 commands hang all the Torah and the prophets. Meaning, what we read earlier, the 10 commandments, The first 4 applies to Yahuah, is 1, and the last 6 applies to our neighbor, is number 2. Abba warns us clearly in Scripture in Revelation, he says, 2 verse 4, he says, "But I hold this against you, that you have left your first love." If we love Yahuah, and if we love our Messiah Yahusha, we got His commands, because He is Torah. That's our first love. And then it says in verse 5, "Remember from where you have fallen, and repent, and do the first works, or else I shall come to you speedily, and remove your lampstand from its place, unless you repent." Remember, Yahusha is our lampstand. He is our vine. And where it says, if we do not repent and do the first works, which is Torah, He will come and remove our lampstand. Who's my lampstand? Yahusha, who lives in my heart. And if He removes Yahusha from me, I will not be able to guard His commands. I will not be able to obey Torah. Only through His strength and His power, I am able to guard His commands. Abba even warns this through the prophet Yirmiyahu in Jeremiah or Yirmiyahu 6 verse 16. He says, "Thus said Yahuah, stand in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where the good way is, and walk in it, and find rest for yourselves." But they said, we do not walk in it. Very sad, very sad. Yahusha's words. Pay attention. Matthew 5 verse 17 to 20. "Do not think I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and the earth pass away, one jot or one title by no means pass from the Torah till all be done." Nothing will change. "Whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so shall be called the least in the reign of the heavens. But whoever thus teaches them, and he shall be called great in the reign of the heavens." Not even the least we can break. "For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall by no means enter into the reign of the heavens." Remember, the scribes and the Pharisees understood Torah. That's why they tested Yahusha so much, because they stuck to Torah and they applied Torah to the way they wanted it to be. We have to supersede that. We must go beyond that. That's what we call the Higher Torah. And Yahusha gave us an example for that in Matthew 5:27. Actually, the chapter 27 is worth reading. But I'm just going to pick this little bit to point it to you. He says, "You heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone looking at the woman to lust for her has already committed adultery in their heart." We must be better. The Torah of Yahuah we are to keep the way Yahusha, or the way Yahuah gave to Mosheh, because Yahusha said the following words, "For if you believed Mosheh, you would have believed me, since he wrote about me. But if you do not believe his writings, how shall you believe my words?" People who do not keep Torah, the first 5 books, will not believe Yahusha. And that is what we see in Christianity. That's why they do not keep the Sabbath. That's why they do not keep the scriptural feasts. That's why they celebrate Christmas when Yahusha wasn't born. That's why they do Easter instead of Passover. Because they do not believe the words of Mosheh that he wrote. And therefore they do not believe our Messiah. No one can say, "I love my Messiah," and disobey Torah at the same time. Because Yahusha says in Yohanan 14:15, if you love me, you shall guard my commands. Well, I see I'm on 25 minutes. I will stop now and continue where we're going to be looking at some deceit that the enemy used to lure away the chosen from Abba. Shalom from a little coffee and a lot of Yahuah.